Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 248. My conversation with Aton, as I know him. You may know him on YouTube as Sailing with Trout. And on Instagram, I believe it is Trout the Landfish with a couple dots in there. Put the links in the description if you want to check out his stuff. Essentially, Triple Crown hiker turned sailor. Talked to him about a year ago and wanted to do an update because he's done 2 seasons in the Bahamas, pretty much on a zero budget. He's got a new boat, a Cape Dory 34, I think it was, and really just a heck of a genuine guy. If you like the sort of YouTube channels, the sailing genre at least, that are just giving you the raw takes and what it's like, and essentially can give you almost bird's eye view of the realities of sailing a small boat solo through the Bahamas, his channel is definitely right up your alley. He's a great guy, super positive attitude. We talk about the Bahamas, the new boat, trials and tribulations. We talk about making that choice to untie the lines, leave the marina, and head off into the adventure of your dreams. And then we talk about his future and what he plans on doing, possibly getting back into the long distance hiking. When I say Triple Crown, what that means is he's hiked the Appalachian Trail, he's hiked the Continental Divide Trail, and the Pacific Crest Trail. So Triple Crown, that is hats off, totally respectable, unbelievable, actually. I've done the AT myself, so I know what a grueling feat that can actually be, or at least I have a glimpse. I'd like to do the PCT with them at some point, if possible. The CDT kind of scares me. Bears, grizzly bears, and more bears. Yikes. But, hey, if you don't risk it, you're not going to get that adventure. So before I start this show and kick into our little conversation, like I always say, so many people are reaching out and helping to support this show, not only on YouTube, but the actual podcast itself. Can't thank you enough. I want to get back out there. I want to create some more content from out offshore, way in the middle of our oceans. I'm planning a trip this winter to go down and try and paint a target on the South Atlantic garbage patch, do a little data collection. It's going to take 4 or 5 months to do that. And obviously the costs incurred, new sales, all this sort of stuff. It's not easy to do, and I can't do it myself anymore. I have come back from voyages broken, busted so many times that I just don't have it in me. So I'm looking for the support that I can possibly get from everybody who has been so graciously subscribing and sharing and doing all that with all the content on all this sort of stuff. So really, really appreciate it. Put links in the description for everything from Patreon to PayPal and Venmo. And then obviously I like to exchange rather than just ask for money. So I've got things like the shirts, I've got the books, the children's books, the audiobooks, all that sort of stuff. And you can always support the channel that way. Thank you all so very much for tuning in, listening, liking, all that sort of stuff. And without further ado, my conversation with Aton, a.k.a. Trout the Landfish. Oh, that's a beaut. Right like that. Yep, just like that. Perfect, man. Welcome back to the show, Aton, a.k.a. Trout the Landfish.
Thanks,
Good
man.
to have you,
it's
man.
Good to be back.
Yeah, right. You down there in old, are you still in Georgia?
I'm in St. Mary's, Georgia. I am 40 feet out of Florida.
Wow. Yeah, that's right. It's right on the border. Nice,
yeah,
man. Yeah. Nice. And so you've been away in the Bahamas since when did you leave the States?
I spent 3 months there this year. Yeah, it was 3 months this year and 3 months last year.
Oh, okay. Very cool, man. Very
I'm
cool.
I'm on a new boat now. Yeah.
I know. So much. We got a lot to catch up on since the first time we chatted. Because when I had you originally on that short podcast, I think I can't even remember how I came across it. It was some video or something, and I saw that you were a Triple Crown hiker. And I was like, dude, I got to talk to that guy. And I think I saw something where you had gone through a massive squall in an anchorage, and your dinghy was just like flying around or something. And yeah, so then we got to chat. But yeah, it's been great being able to follow your YouTube channel and everything. It's been awesome, man. You sharing the experience.
Thanks, man. I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and I've enjoyed sharing it even more.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Well, and the videos are definitely coming along, man. I love. It's kind of weird, you know. There's some channels where you kind of watch it and you're like, wow, this is like fully produced, and I don't know. For me, I really just enjoy the ones where I literally can relate every minute to watching you out there. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that feeling. Like, or I know when the wind dies and you're just like kind of drifting along a little bit. It's really, really good stuff. Very, very authentic, man. So I definitely appreciate it. How much time are you putting into to doing all that?
As little as possible. So, as absolute minimum. I've gotten slightly better at editing, but I'm still not good. I'm not a great editor, so
Right,
I've
right.
really I've gotten better at recording to where I have to edit less. So I've been able to figure out how to record to where, let's say I'm doing a 30-minute YouTube video, I can
Mm-hmm.
get that from about 40, 45 minutes of footage. I can get a 30-minute video out of that. And I maybe put 2 hours into it. I watch it once and edit it through, and then I watch it again just to make sure it's good, and then I post it.
And then you
Um,
go. Well, and I think honestly that is very similar to what I do with the podcast because I knew going into it that if it became sort of a headache and kind of a drag that I wouldn't be able to continue it for as long as I want to, and making sure you're very realistic, I think, with how you want to approach it, how much time you want to put into it, and what parts you actually enjoy is super smart. So I know some people might be like, well, if you put more effort into it, but you know, when it comes down to it, if you're not enjoying doing it, then you just won't continue, right?
Yeah, and I'm not doing it for the money or that. I made the YouTube channel solely to share it with friends and family. So it's
Yeah,
never been like I have to post on this day. I have to do that. And I've been pretty good recently about one video a week on Fridays. But for the
yeah,
most part, it's just I did it to share with friends and family, and people have commented and told me like, "Oh, you should include this. You should include this." And I definitely read those and listen to them. And but for the most part, my camera keeps me company when I'm at sea. So
yeah,
just
right.
someone to talk to. And sometimes, when shit hits the fan, really, I don't usually record, when stuff's going wrong. I don't have cameras set up or anything. So it's usually just like, it'll cut like, oh, there's a squall coming in. And then it'll cut to, it's sunny again and I'm drinking a beer and the squall's behind me and I'm like, man, that was brutal, but we're living the dream. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I sort of had the same thing on the trip around the world. Essentially was videoing the storms and the big stuff in the Southern Ocean up until a point, and then I was like, this is way too dangerous to be up here trying to capture, the waves and the swell. It was sort of like time to get realistic, but I think that is where being able to have things that are kind of mounted around and stuff are going to kind of come in handy in the future, I suppose. But I mean, what are you using as far as a camera for all your videos?
my phone.
The phone.
I
Nice,
did.
nice.
My friend gave me this GoPro this year in the Bahamas, and I used it a little bit. I mostly use it when I'm snorkeling and spearfishing.
Yeah.
But the thing with that, it takes so much longer to
To
transfer
edit.
everything, and then
Yeah.
it's all out of order. And really, I film a lot of my dives and stuff, but I don't per se put that on YouTube. I don't know how to put music over videos, and no one wants to listen to me blowing bubbles for 5 minutes. So,
Well, so are you familiar with Paul Trammell?
I've heard his podcast before. Yeah,
Okay, well, he and I did sort of a double show or whatever, but he was like, it was years ago. He was spearfishing down in the Bahamas in one of the blue holes, and he freaking passed out on his way up. And he's like, "Oh, if you really want to see it, there's a video on YouTube." And oh my God, that's like my worst nightmare. He's alone, and essentially it just hit him maybe 10 feet from the surface, and he just kind of kept rising, and then he woke back up on the
Yeah.
surface. And oh my God, it's so scary.
I
So
had a
scary.
few. I haven't had any close calls while like snorkeling reefs and stuff, but I've had close calls scraping boats. I scrape all my friends' boats wherever I go just to make some beer money. And
Yeah.
scraping boats, there's sometimes you're like down there on the keel and you're just like 3 more scrapes and like, oh, 3 more, and then like you're like struggling up to the surface. You're bouncing along the hole like to get up there. And I've had some close calls where I've had to just like pop out and lay in the dinghy for 20 minutes and be like, decompress,
Dude,
good.
we gotta get you one of those hookahs with the the little compressor and stuff, bro.
That's
so you a little
that's the
safer.
plan. That's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all part of it. It's good on you, though. A lot of people will ask that question of, when you go cruising, how can you do it without, having a pile of cash on hand? And it's amazing how much work, if you're handy or if you're just willing to clean and polish and, like you said, scrape the hull. There's a lot of work out there in all these anchorages, marinas, and all that stuff. Like the idea of working your way through the Caribbean, it's definitely a reality. You still finding it's like that in the Bahamas?
I'm just helping some friends out, and they're helping me out with some groceries and whatever.
Nice.
But yeah, there's most of the cruising community are retired folks on catamarans, and they always have everyone's always got projects going on their boats, and especially being around that scene of I don't know other than the Bahamas really, but in the Bahamas what I know is that there's a lot of retirees on catamarans and a lot of older folks who aren't necessarily getting in the water every 2 weeks to scrape or don't want to go up there, don't want to go up their mast, or
that's the big one. Yeah, I used to find that a lot in the marinas in the States, and that's one of them where I never felt at all guilty about saying, hey, you got to change a bulb or you got to do this. It's basically $100 an hour, minimum of an hour, because it's one of those things where it's kind of dangerous to do that. You're taking a little bit of a risk, and it's not like I have insurance as a mast climber or rigger. And that one was always fun because usually it is only like a 15-minute sort of operation.
Well, also sometimes people are like they'll haul you up their mast to do a rig inspection, and it's like just that feeling of going up a mast to inspect a rig, so it hasn't been inspected. And you're like,
looking at the halyards, like, this one's looking a little green. I think we'll go up on this one. What do you say?
Yeah. Always do a safety halyard, 100%. Always hook that spinnaker halyard on just in case.
Just in case. Oh man. Well, and yeah, I mean, I think as far as like the BVI, the USVI, Dominica, all those places, it was kind of the same. Like if you don't have all the money you need for the trip, there are ways to find little areas where you can make ends meet. And I mean, and the more skill set you have, I'll tell you the other thing that really helped me a lot was a sewing machine. Having that sail right on board Sparrow. I mean, I was normally just doing it for friends, as a favor and stuff. But man, that can turn into a little tiny company if you want it to.
I brought my Sailrite with me this past year, and I realized I don't know how to sew. So I bought it to learn how to sew. Thought I knew. Thought I figured it out. But it's going to be a long learning process, and then hopefully one day I'll be able to help some people out with their projects. But right now I'm butchering my projects, and eventually they'll start getting good. And then I can start doing stuff for other people. I'd rather screw up my own stuff than someone else's.
That was essentially my thinking when I bought it. I essentially bought one of those to take down to the Bitter End Yacht Club way back, like a decade ago, because we had to ship our sails down to Tortola, wouldn't see them for weeks on end. And I was like, dude, let's give this a shot. So I got to practice on all these Hobie Cat sails and laser sails, and and all that sort of stuff. Plus, my older brother was definitely he gave me some top tips and everything. Shout out to old Svenny. But yeah, those sale rights, dude. Eventually, I ended up making a Dodger and everything for Sparrow, and it's come in handy so many times out at sea. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's a really good piece of equipment too. I figured when I went with Sailrite, I mean, there wasn't even an option to get a different sewing machine
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
for the work I need to do, like sail repair and stuff, it's compact, it's in its box, it's the best of the best. It was a little extra money, but I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked at hiring someone to do canvas work, but you
Yeah.
know, yeah, one cushion pays for the machine.
Totally. When I first got Sparrow, I needed to make a Dodger, and I got a quote, and I think it was like $3,500, and I was like, okay, the sail right cost 900. The kit to make a Dodger's 800, and I was like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna go that route. But it was I don't want to say it was frustrating building that, but it was an event for sure. And you don't have a Dodger on your boat, do you?
Nope, still
Dude.
Dodgerless. Second boat without a Dodger. Second boat that I've wanted a Dodger. Um, it's a little rough not having it, but
Yeah.
at this point, I've all my sailing for the most part's been without a Dodger, other than um, doing deliveries on other boats. That's the only time I've had a Dodger, and it's really nice every time. But then I get back to my boat, and I'm like, I'm gonna put a Dodger on. I think I'm gonna go sailing instead.
Yeah. Well, so right now you're in the boatyard, right? Are you hauled out?
Nope, I'm anchored here in St. Mary's. I just not really where I wanted to be for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I was just completely out of money when I got here. Like
Yeah.
my last grocery run put me into debt, so I
Oh,
showed up here and went over to the bar, grabbed a beer, talked to people at the bar, and had a few jobs by the time I left. And so I've worked every day since I've been here, and getting ready to take off to, I think, Oriental, North Carolina, with a stop in
ooh.
Beaufort, Charleston area first. So
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah,
Very cool, man. Yeah, I mean, that's sort of my old stomping ground. So I used to stay at Ladies Island in right outside of Beaufort, and then I went to Oriental for the first time 2 years ago, and I'm just north of there in Bellhaven. Not right now, I'm not, but the boat is. Sparrow's up there, and beautiful part of the world, my friend. It's gonna get hot soon, though, real hot.
this is the furthest north I've been in 3 years. So I'm
Wow.
already
Oh,
like,
you're
oh,
used to
it's
it.
not
Yeah.
Florida.
Well, let me ask you that, because your last video is like escape from Florida. What is it about Florida? And we love Florida. We love Floridian people, all that sort of stuff. But what is it that rubs you raw about Florida?
I've been here too long is the main thing. I don't I don't really have much against Florida itself. It's a beautiful place, friendly people, but after I did 2 hurricane seasons in Florida, and last hurricane season I had 2 boats at the same time to take care
Oh,
of 2
yeah.
sailboats. So um, it's the getting hassled by Coast Guard a lot. It's the
Yes. Yes.
derelict boats in every anchorage. It's the um, shore access, trying to find access. I was trying to get groceries in Fort Pierce, and every stop I made coming up the coast, I was trying to get groceries, and I couldn't find anywhere to get to shore that was like reasonable distance to a grocery store. It was either a free dinghy dock in the middle of nowhere, or a dinghy dock you have to pay for, and at
Pay
that
for,
point I
right.
just keep going.
Gotcha. Well, I definitely understand that. And one of the things that you sort of noted on just now, but also in your video, is kind of those derelict boats. maybe somebody still owns them, but they haven't looked at it in a year or two or a decade sometimes. I don't think people realize how much of a danger that actually presents when, you're just cruising to go and anchor up for a night. Can you go into like what your thoughts are on that? Because I know how dangerous they can be.
I understand derelict boats, and I understand how you can, fall behind on boat projects and it's too much and you just leave the boat. And I understand how it happens, and I also understand that for some people it's be homeless on the street behind a building or be homeless on a boat. Um,
Yeah.
and I understand why there's derelict boats out here, but the risk of derelict boats and anchoring around them, I've been hit by multiple derelict boats just dragging.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
anchors that haven't been checked in. Like, after a week, I'm like, I figure there's probably a twist around my anchor of chain. And these boats have been anchored for 3, 4, 5 years,
Yeah.
never getting checked, no nothing. And it's too risky to put everything I own is this boat and what's on it is everything I own, and to put that in an anchorage with a bunch of boats that no one cares about, and if it drags into me, it drags into me. I shouldn't have been anchored there. Like, it doesn't matter whose fault it is, my home still gets hit and potentially
Yeah.
damaged, sunk, whatever. It's not worth, it's too much risk for pretty much no reward.
No, 100%. And like I said, I think some people just don't realize that, especially if you're new to sort of cruising on the intercoastal or anything like that, yeah, I mean, if you see a lot of those boats around, and it's not like we're talking about the people, we're just talking about the fact that when that big squall rolls in the middle of the night, chances are one of those suckers is going to break free and drift down until, yeah, it smashes into you, and you're not going to chase anybody down for insurance or anything like that. So it's one of those things where you definitely want to kind of watch out, steer clear, and keep your head on when it comes to finding places like that. Those
I
are
think,
those little tidbits that you've got
yeah,
in your videos that are really good, my friend.
yeah. I think derelict boats have also, like, kind of given sailors as a whole, like the boating community, a bad name, especially in Florida. Like, down here in
Yeah.
Florida, you're either a power boater or a sailor, and kind of everyone kind of looks down on sailors. And it's not that they're looking down on cruisers, it's that everyone's getting bunched in with this boat that ended up in their front yard. The
Right,
storm
right.
came in, this boat ended up in their front yard, and now they're looking at all these boats coming through. Like, it just gives everyone kind of a bad name and makes it a little more difficult. And that's why it's difficult to get shore access, and that's why insurance rates for boat insurance are crazy down in Florida, and that's why FWC and Coast Guard are constantly checking you. It's
Yeah.
it makes it more difficult for everyone, really.
It's that whole couple bad apples spoil the bunch thing. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
And the other thing I think is when sailors try and sail their boats around in the ICW, man.
Guilty. I
Guilty as charged.
I sailed through the ICW in Daytona. It was sunny and 92 degrees on a Saturday. And
Oh my goodness, man.
holy cow. There was one point, there were like 150 jet skis that all ripped by me at the same time. And I was just like, hell
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
brother. And they're
Yeah,
just like,
right.
dude, what are you doing?
Well, I'll tell you, hats off to you on that. You got some huevos, my friend, because I'm always so nervous when I'm on the intercoastal, especially when there's any traffic, just because I have 100% faith in Sparrow under sail. I
Yeah.
do not have 100% faith in Sparrow's Perkins 4108 from 1980 question mark year that I don't know. I know Perkins are good because once you get them going, they usually keep going. But boy, oh boy, the fact that there's no wiggle room if something goes wrong, you either gotta get an anchor down, hoist some sail, do whatever. I don't know. That's a panicky thing for me. And I know you had said because I commented on that video, you were like, "Man, I'd rather be on the ocean." What are your thoughts on that, man? I mean, I would do almost anything to always hop out and do a sail going north.
So the reason I stuck to the ICW was that the wind wasn't right. The wind wasn't going to be right for a week and a half.
Right.
And I was sitting down in West Palm. I just got back from the Bahamas. I spent about 10 days in West Palm. I got to see some families, some friends, and then it was time to go. And it was like, do I go outside or do I go inside? And I looked at it. I had a day of good wind. And I was like, I'll go outside for a day and then go into Fort Pierce and decide from there. And there were multiple ways there were multiple spots to get out of the ICW as I went up, but the weather just wasn't looking good. So I just kept sticking to the inside. And I'm the same way. I don't trust my engine either. It barely
I've
works.
seen the videos. I know.
Yeah, exactly. I named it Jesus because the son of a bitch keeps coming back from the dead. Like it's I don't trust it at all. But there was one day coming up. I was coming up one day. It was right outside of Melbourne, Florida. Couldn't get the engine to start for the life of me. Ended up rewired the starter, all that. Got the engine started, and 3 miles later, I was towing a powerboat because they couldn't get their engine started. So I went up to them. They were right up on the bridge, and I was like, "You guys are gonna have to paddle to me because I don't want to lose my mast." So I was keeping the sailboat right off the bridge, and they were able to paddle over. I tied them to my midship cleat, threw out some fenders, tied them to midship, so I had like a hip tie going on, and just threw it in full throttle and got them off the bridge.
Nice, good man, a little rescue.
I can't pass a boater in need. It doesn't matter. They felt really bad. They were like, "We're holding you up from going north." I don't care, man. You guys needed help. I'm not gonna pass someone who needs some help. It was three older guys with wooden oars on a little power boat trying to keep it off the bridge. So
no, hey, I mean that's like as long as you don't have to put your own self in peril. That's sort of the law, the mariner's laws. We gotta help each other out because I mean, when it comes down to it, dude, we don't belong on the water. We've made these little ships to make it possible, but if we lose that ship, we're goners. So we always gotta stick together on that one.
And it wasn't a life or death situation with them. You know, they could have thrown out their anchor and waited for a towboat, but I was looking at more as like, I've been there. That sucks. I got you. I'm happy to help.
100%, man. Well, and that's the thing. Karma. Think of it that way. You know, next time you get in a pinch, chances are something will come back and be able to save you.
Right after I towed him, I was motoring all morning, and then after I towed him, the wind was right on my beam. Perfect.
Oh, perfect. There you go. Yeah. There you go.
I was able to sail for another few miles. Yeah.
The world provides for sure. So have you been up to Oriental before?
Nope. Ooh. I've never been pretty much anywhere on the U.S. East Coast other than, Florida, Brunswick, and Hilton Head as like a little kid. New York City and Bar Harbor, Maine. That's the only East Coast of the U.S. I've seen.
Whoa, dude!
I always I stuck to the mountains, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
this is all
lonely
new and
trails. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Hey, well, it's definitely really pretty stuff coming up there, and I don't know it all that well because I'm just sort of going in and out here and there. But it's that whole area once you go in at Beaufort and you do the Intracoastal and Adams Canal or Adams Creek, I think it is. Then there's some canals. It takes a while to get up to Oriental, but Oriental itself, super cool. It's like a real sailing town. Sam Holmes, I believe, has a workshop up there, and he's planning on getting back stateside, I think over, what did he say? I think he was trying to get back over before the hurricane season. I can't remember. I'd have to listen to the show, but he's looking to get back there. So you might bump into him. Are you planning on sticking there for a while or going further?
Probably for the season, unless if I find work there, I'll stay. If work work doesn't work out, I'll keep on going.
Keep
It's
trucking.
time to rebuild the cruising kitty for next year, and also have a lot of work to do on this boat. I haven't done pretty much anything to it. I just kind of
Well,
bought it and went.
yeah. So I guess I skipped over all that. Tell me what happened. So you had your first boat and well, yeah, I guess tell me how'd you make the switch over?
I had the first boat. I got back to the States last year, beginning of July from the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
I got back to Gulfport, Florida. And I saw this boat on Facebook Marketplace, and the guy needed to sell it that day. So
Oh, wow.
I drove over to Fort Pierce and bought Cape Dory 33 for $5,000.
Nice.
Yeah, there were multiple other people looking at it when I was looking at it, so I didn't really get a look at it. I saw the engine running. I took a peek
Mm-hmm.
under the sail cover to look at the sail, and I shook his
Yeah.
hand.
Wow. Very
So,
thorough survey. Nice job.
yeah. Super thorough. But and then I called my friend Lance. He's an old salt, and I was just like, Lance, can you help me bring this boat through the Okeechobee waterway because of all the locks and stuff? So
Yeah.
he came down. We hopped on the boat and went through the Okeechobee waterway and up to Gulfport. The plan was to fix her up and sell her. Make some money instead of getting a job. Just
Oh,
flip the boat.
right. Yeah.
And then once I got on the boat, I was like, "Oh man, there's a
I like
bathroom
this boat.
and a kitchen and a head and a galley
and a
but,
wheel
like,
instead of a
actually,
tiller.
like I can take a shower. I have a stove and oven. Like maybe I might have to keep this boat." So I sold my last boat, Song of Wind, to one of my YouTube subscribers.
Awesome. Nice.
He bought her and wasn't able to sail her, do what he wanted. He had other stuff that he ended up doing, and actually he just sold it to another one of my friends. So my friend just took Song of Wind sailing for her first time in 9 months. She's been sitting on a mooring bolt.
Wow.
So she's still alive. She's trucking. But yeah,
Nice.
I got this boat. I got it back up to Gulfport, sold Song of Wind, and I raised sail for the first time just to, I found a head sail in the trash can. So I stuck it on the furler I just wanted to test it out. I have a perfectly good head sail, but I wanted to test that one out. So I threw it up and ended up anchored in Venice and then Port Charlotte and then Marco Island and then the Keys and then went to the Bahamas. So that was the first sail, really. I just took off and went. And I didn't have lifelines, no autopilot, no.
Oh,
I still don't have non-skid on the deck. Engine was kind of running, kind of not. And yeah, boat took good care of me, and I've kind of not taken too great a care of her, but now that I'm back in the States, now it's the time. I figured her out. I've got all of her kinks sorted out, and yeah, she's a really good boat, and I'm excited to take her on some further journeys next season.
Yeah, well, congratulations, because I mean, Cape Dory, that size, the world's kind of your oyster at that point. I mean, that's a pretty beastly boat. What year was it made?
1980.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, 1980. She was undergoing a refit. She went through like a few different owners while she was at the boatyard, all trying to restore her. And and then I came along, bought her for $5,000, and took her on a 3,000-mile sail.
Very nice, dude.
Well, it all works out.
That actually has been kind of a big topic for. So I started doing kind of this coaching stuff, right? And one of the things that I talk to a lot of people about is sort of drumming up the courage, but also making sure the boat is ready for, the passage to the Bahamas or the passage to the Caribbean or up the coast. And, after talking with some other sailors that basically are kind of in that same realm that you and me and like Wind Hippie and stuff, and even Sam Holmes, where the boat does not need to be 100% to go for it. A boat I don't think ever actually reaches 100%. I think it's always going to be needing something, this, that, or the other thing. But I mean, compared to your first trip over to the Bahamas, which I'm sure you had a whole lot more sort of like, oh, geez, what's going to happen? How's this going to go? With this one, were you just a heck of a lot more confident and having kind of a bigger boat, or were there still some of those butterflies in the stomach?
I was a lot more confident on my last boat than this boat. And I think part of that came from last year. I just didn't know. I didn't know what kind of risk I was taking. It was, I,
Right,
I mean,
right.
I was 20, I think I was 24, 25 years old on a 27-foot boat. It was my first sailboat, and I was just having the time of my life, just having fun. And I was like, as long as the boat doesn't sink and I don't lose my rig, I can go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
I lost my engine for like 3 months, and that's when I really learned how to sail, is when the engine wasn't working. So I still went sailing every day. It doesn't, if you need everything on your boat to be perfect before you go, you're never going to go.
You're
Because by
never
the
going to go.
time you finish that list, some of the stuff you've already done is starting to break again. So you have to make sure the main components of your boat are good to go, especially I'm talking coastal stuff. You want everything perfect if you're crossing ocean. I mean,
60%.
not
60%'s fine.
everything perfect, but I met people in the Bahamas this year who wouldn't sail, they wouldn't leave Georgetown because their wind instrument at the top of their mast was broken, so they couldn't tell what
Mm.
direction the wind was coming from. And for me, I'm like, I tie ribbons to my shrouds. It works perfectly, like a piece of yarn or something. And there's just,
Well, we're
and
we're all
no
equipped
judgment
with
to them.
nature's telltales, man. Hair. I don't have that
Yeah,
much, but I got them all over my arms. It's great.
I know. I trimmed off the beardometer, but that used to be great. Once it flipped up, you knew it was 20 when it flipped.
That's awesome. It's so true. It's so true. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the worst trap, is to think that you've got to get the boat to this like certain spot where I got to have that third AIS antenna. I got to have the backup this, backup that, where it's sort of like, you have to, I think, realistically look at like, do I really need that? Is it going to really save me out there? Or am I kind of just projecting my fear onto these other things and trying to cover it up? Because that's the one thing I always tell people. I'm like, when I set off, I'm always scared. I'm
Yeah,
scared about what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm filled with anxiety, all this sort of stuff. But I use that as like a fuel. I mean, when I get anxiety, I feel almost the same way as if I drink like a triple espresso or something like that, where I'm just like, I got all this energy. As long as I focus it towards preparation and planning and double checking, that makes me kind of feel a little bit better. And then you just got to go and sort of trust that you're going to rise to whatever occasion comes at you. But you just have to make that first step.
yeah. I think technology also plays a major role in it now. Of like, no one wants to get lost at sea or their boat go down or
No,
anything, but there is that certain comfort of being able to just click a button and your position's known. That takes a
true.
lot of the, I could die out here, but I'm a lot more likely to get rescued with how much technology has progressed since
Oh,
the beginning of
100%.
sailing. Yeah.
Well, and have you read Stephen Callahan's Adrift?
No, I saw the documentary, but I haven't read it.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, thankfully the idea of that happening with the tech we have today is pretty far fetched, but that dude was so legit. I mean, I think it was 71 or 72 days he's in that life raft that's slowly just decomposing underneath him. And man, oh man, just the idea of being in that situation, like, I think there's a romantic idea about being shipwrecked on a deserted island somewhere. I mean, still pretty awful situation, but if you got
The
coconuts, palm
island part of
trees,
it's nice, alone on an
yeah,
island.
dude, alone
A
on a
life raft.
inflatable. Oh, That is my worst nightmare. That is me
Yeah.
freaking out because, dude, I know when I'm becalmed for more than 24 hours, the sharks start to circle. And I could not imagine that on an inflatable raft. Like, I don't even like to think about it. Terrifying. Ugh. But so, it's always good to have a reality check on that. But, you mentioned technology. And I think one of the things that I worry about with technology and sort of people getting new into sailing is that just because you can navigate using an iPhone across the Atlantic and that's all you need, there's a whole lot of other skills involved that when, like I said, when the shit hits the fan out there, that iPhone isn't gonna, you might be able to ask Siri, like, what do I do in 25-foot breaking waves? It'll give you some sort of answer, but you know what?
Yeah.
You still have to have that skill set to be able to deal with that situation. So I think with sailing, there's always going to be room for the old school tried and tested methods, how to use a barometer, how to use a chart. I don't think that'll ever totally get replaced by all attack.
Yeah, I definitely need more practice with that because I can read a map, but finding my position on it when there's no land or nothing to see, that I struggle with that a little bit. So that's something I definitely need to work on before doing longer stuff. Because last year sailing back from the Bahamas, I lost my phone cut out right in the middle of the Bahama Banks, and I was able to see the light on South Riding Rocks, and but I knew from the maps that I looked at before my phone quit, I knew that it was shallow around there, and I didn't have paper maps either. So when I lost my phone, I had my Garmin, my InReach, that did not have maps downloaded on it, but had my dots, my track points from crossing to the Bahamas.
Oh, so you could follow that. Yeah.
So I went from the Bahama Banks back to the States, and I ended up hitting right at Rodriguez. I got to the reef right there, and once I got there, I was like, okay, now I know where I am. But I crossed the Gulf Stream in the middle of the night, no maps, no, I was just like, what am I doing out here? This is stupid.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a little scary. That makes me nervous just hearing that. But
And
hey,
then,
before we go any further, you're not on the trail. You're on a boat, and it's not a map, it's a chart.
It's a chart. It's a chart.
You already look like Bernard Moitessier, so I want to make sure you sound like him too, all right?
Yeah.
You do have, let me just side note that, bro. You're really looking, you're looking good. You're looking healthy. You're looking happy. Like the sailing life,
man.
It can very easily, destroy a person and make them age very quickly. But you look vibrant, happy, and healthy, man. It's doing you some favors, bro.
Lots of sunscreen, beer, and beaches.
That's the three right there.
Yeah, it's hard to have a bad time.
I hear you on that, man. Now and I think when you do get, hey, no worries, man. I just, when you get to that comfort level and you're having a good time and you feel like you're living the way you want to live, I think that's good for the soul, which eventually ends up being good for, how you look, how you feel, how you smile, all that sort of stuff. It's important. Definitely.
You're right.
So in the rest of the sort of Bahamas, you're there for 3 months. You got a whole lot more in depth into the islands this time than you did the first time, right?
So last year everything was new and exciting. Bimini, Andros, down the Exumas, Long Island, Chimentos. This year I kind of took the same track there, and then coming back was all new. So on my return trip coming back, I ended up going through Eleuthera, Spanish Wells, the Abacos.
Nice.
But really, my absolute highlight of this year was I actually had people come and stay with me this year. I had a friend from the Pacific Crest Trail come and stay for a week, and my dad actually came out for a week, and that was really cool to have people I know from not sailing come and just be like, yeah, let's sail around the Bahamas for a week, 10 days, whatever. And that was really cool to be able to share the journey. And after they left, because they were kind of back to back, it was like a week with someone on board, and then a week off, and then a week with someone on board. And then after that, I was just like, started getting a little burnt out on single-handed.
Yeah. Really?
I like sharing the experience. I don't necessarily like living on a small boat with someone else, but being
it can be a little tight.
Yeah, well, it's more of like when you're at the anchorage and, you know, and one dinghy, all that, you know, it's a lot more logistics to do that. But having people on board underway was a lot.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed it. And then I did I sailed over to Mexico back last hurricane season. Like, I think it was end of September, beginning of October. We sailed from Tampa to Isla Mujeres on my friend's boat.
Peak of the hurricane season. Nice, man.
Peak hurricane season. It was me, my friend Amy, and we were on my friend Lance's boat. And he's an old salt, and it just happened suddenly. We took him out for his birthday. He was like, I'm going to Mexico tomorrow. And we were like, we'll come. So we went to the grocery store, hopped on his boat, and took off on a 4.5-day sail to Mexico. But having other people on board, I realized how much I love to sleep underway, because I never get to do that when it's just me. And when it was all of us, dude, if I wasn't on watch, I was sleeping. And I would wake up between naps. We'd, you know, sit in the cockpit, have a couple drinks, some smokes, whatever, and then I'd go right back to sleep and wait till it was my time for a while. I love sleeping underway, and this year was my first time having AIS, and I thought that was going to be a game changer. Yeah, it wasn't really. I don't trust it. It's hard for me to trust technology. Like, even if it's not beeping, I'm like, what if it's broken? Every time I jump up, and, you know, I just don't like trusting technology. And also,
go ahead.
No, I used it. I think 3 times this year, and like the first time I used it, I turned it on, and there was a boat, and it started beeping. So I hit turn off alarm, and then like 2 minutes later, it started beeping again, and it was the same boat, and then it kept doing it. I was like, screw this thing, and I just powered it off because I couldn't figure out how to get it to stop beeping, and then it took me a couple months to turn it back on again. But yeah, I don't know. Technology and me don't get along too well.
Dude, no, hey, I hear you, man. I mean, I know that with my AIS, it's nothing. It's more of an annoyance, especially when I'm doing any sort of coastal cruising, or even in the Gulf of Maine, where there's just a lot of boats around. I really find it useful when I'm 500 miles off from shore, because at that point I'll sleep for a couple hours at a time. And, you know, I need that thing to wake me up. And usually it's just one giant ship that's passing by or something. But, you know, it is, I as a solo sailor and, you know, offshore sailor, that AIS, I rank that up there between an EPIRB, a life raft, and my AIS are kind of my most important safety tools, just because I don't do that whole 20-minute cat nap thing. I know other sailors that do, and I just don't understand how that works. I feel like I would go insane from sleep deprivation at that point. And I know it's not the right thing to do, because you're supposed to really try and keep as diligent a watch as possible. But I'm in international waters, man. You know, free world out there. We got to do what we can.
No parents, no rules.
That's right. No countries, no borders, baby. I love it. I love it. What kind of AIS do you have?
I have the ICOM Class B.
Class B. Okay.
I don't know. It shows my position. It shows my position, and I receive position. It shows me as a 37-foot trawler. But
dude, I'll tell you what, bro. In about let's see, in about 2 weeks time, I've got a speaking event in Ohio, and then I'm driving down to Cape Canaveral. And if it's not too far out of my way, I want to swing by and see you in person, dude. And just
Absolutely.
yeah, bro, have a beer. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure you might have the same AIS that I have, and I can teach you all the little picadillos that go along
Okay.
with it.
Yeah,
And
it gives me all kinds of high VSWR warnings, and
oh god, yeah.
I don't know what any of that means. I don't have
We'll
a
get you.
manual for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get you sorted out for sure.
All
For
right. Yeah, if
sure,
you're
man.
coming down and you're passing close by, reach out. That'd be
I
great to see
will.
you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And so you're at St. Mary's now. What are you gonna head off like in the next few days, or you say you found some work, right?
Yeah, I have some work right now, at least for a few more days. So I thinking next stop will be Buford or Charleston,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd like to get to Oriental and check that out. See if I could maybe stay there for the season. I'd like to find somewhere where I actually want to be for a season. You know, the hurricane season, so I can just work, and not always be thinking about like, oh, there's another town 40 miles further. Like, let's just keep going. I want to find somewhere
Right.
where I can just like stay, work, make my money, and go.
Gotcha. Well, I definitely know once you get up to Buford, if you're looking for a place where you can definitely get walk to a grocery store and all that sort of stuff, you get up there just past the Ladies Island Swing Bridge. It's called Factory Creek, and it's good anchorage. There's only a couple of old derelict boats up there, but they've got some. There's like a day dock and all that sort of stuff up there.
Oh, cool.
Buford is a pretty welcoming little spot and everything. And that swing bridge, it's the one that Forrest Gump runs across with the big like iron girders and everything.
Ah, nice.
And yeah, it's pretty good spot for sure.
I
And
have
then
my
yeah, it's
bubba
all
gum
about
shrimp.
yeah, right.
My bubba gum shrimp hat is somewhere. I don't know where it is. When I did the trails, I hiked in a bubba gum shrimp hat.
Oh, you did? No way. Oh my god, that's too funny, dude. Well, they did a lot of filming down there, and I guess one of the things, there's like a scene where he runs past the state border that says "Welcome to Mississippi," but that was actually filmed in Buford, and I think they left that sign up for quite a long time after, and it confused a lot of people. It could be just a urban legend or something, but gosh, who knows? Who knows? But, oh, that's so cool, dude. You got some little more adventures going on, and I guess kind of as we get close to the hour here, what do you see as sort of the future of things after 2 seasons now doing the solo stuff? Got a little taste of the crude life, and having people aboard. I mean, are the adventures looking bigger? Or are we ready to do something different? What are you sort of seeing, I guess?
I'm either gonna sail this boat around the world, or I'm gonna sell it and
Whoa.
go Triple Crown again. One of the two.
Really?
I've been
Double, triple crown.
I've been going double Triple Crown first, but I was considering doing all the trails again, the opposite direction. So
Holy smokes.
I mean, it's
So
completely new trail.
well, it
So
kind of is. Sorry, go ahead, dude.
I'll do Appalachian Trail northbound, Pacific Crest Trail southbound, and Continental Divide Trail northbound, which is the opposite of what I did last time. And I miss it. I love sailing,
Yeah.
but I also miss hiking. If I do keep sailing, I am striving to get to New Zealand to hike the TA. That would be
yes.
yeah. I've had some friends hike that trail, and that, like, if I'm not triple crowning again, that's my next through hike is the TA.
And that one's what, like 1,700 kilometers or something like that? I can't even remember. I remember researching it a little
I
bit.
think right around there. Yeah, it's across both islands. Just everything from snow-capped mountains to beach walks. I mean, it just
dude.
Yeah.
They've got some serious terrain. We did hiking. I've been there a couple times, and we did some of the bigger hikes in like Abel Tasman, but then we went down to Stewart Island, which is the third island, and Dude, there's one hill called Doughboy that just you're walking through bog after bog, and it's one of those never-ending hills. It just never ends. And you're like, it can't possibly keep going up, and it does. And it's brutal, and it's raining because you're down in the roaring 40s. You're so far south. Oh, it's. I think back on it now, and I'm like, that was the best time ever. When I was there, I was like, this is so miserable. What am I thinking? This is awful. But oh, Zealand is great, dude. That country is absolutely amazing. Amazing.
Have you had a craving to do another through hike since your Appalachian Trail hike?
Oh, 100%. I always tell people that if I could do any adventure over again for the first time, it would be to hike that AT again. But you're never going to get that sense of like, ooh, all new, all mine. This is so great, that feeling. And I just know that if I were, because I don't have the PCT, I don't have the CDT, I don't have those under my belt, and I'd really like to. I guess I could ask you, which one would you recommend? You and I have gotten to know each other pretty well. I mean, what do you think I would enjoy more?
If you're going for just like the rugged out there-ness,
Yeah.
which, compared to the ocean, none of the hiking's really out there. Once you've been sailing a lot, it's but the CDT is very rugged still. It's not as social. The PCT is becoming more like the AT in the social aspect of like there's trail angels and you're hiking with a bunch of other people and there's trail families and all that. The CDT, it's like you lose your trail family, good luck finding another one in the next week or two. Like everyone's a lot fewer people out on the CDT compared to the PCT. So I personally, if I could do one trail again and only one trail again, it would probably be the PCT. I think that will forever and always be my favorite trail. But the CDT had like a whole different vibe to it of, on the AT you had, purists. You're hiking every white blaze, The CDT, a lot of it is find your own route. There's no trail between this here and here. Figure it out. It's dirt road, paved road, ATV trail, rock.
Yeah, you're just going
scrambles.
From here to there up in Mexico or Canada, and you just got to get from there to there, right?
There was one point I got off the CDT in Butte, Montana, and I didn't reconnect until south of Yellowstone.
Wow.
Half of Montana and part of Wyoming was just route finding, and that was everything from dirt roads to the Spanish Ladies, I think was the name of the mountain range in southern Montana. I was doing rock scrambles and didn't see a trail or another person for like a week at a time, and it was awesome. Like I loved it. But also CDT grizzly country. You got to keep an eye out for grizzlies, which
well, but isn't that, I mean, with the PCT, isn't the worry mountain lions?
I've never worried about a mountain lion. I worry about
brave soul.
Mountain lions, like if you see a mountain lion, that's awesome. Because I saw one small baby mountain lion on the PCT, but they're watching you. But if you actually get to see one, that's really cool because most of the time they are very well hidden and they're watching you walk by. But
right. Well, and I know they do. Don't they say that like you don't really have to worry about the mountain lions because if one wants to eat you, the only time you'll realize it's there is when it sinks its teeth into the back of your neck and then you're dead.
Neck. Yeah. I never worried about mountain lions, but grizzly bears, that was like, and I never worried about black bears either.
No,
grizzly bears were my first time like being somewhere where I had to actually like, okay, I have to be cognizant of my surroundings because I could walk around the corner and there's a 1,000-pound bear that can kill me in one swipe, And when I was on trail, there was a lady who was killed in a campsite grizzly bear came in and just crushed her tent. And
yeah.
she had food in her tent, and like that
Uh,
was 10 miles away from me. So like it was something that you had to actually think about, and you never knew when you were going to see one. You could see one across the valley, or you could come around a bend and it could be 20 feet in front of you.
yeah.
And so I carried bear spray. I didn't have a firearm, but I carried bear spray. Who knows how well it would do.
I always wondered how well, like a little packet of firecrackers would do. If that would scare a bear away or not.
Maybe. I don't know.
Some of those little snaps, you throw them like snap, snap.
Yeah. Just start popping the bear with them. I think you might just make it mad.
You might just make it mad. I think you want like an M80 or something like that.
Yeah, it was. I didn't have any encounters that were too close, other than one walking through the campsite. And I just laid there in the tent, and I could just see its feet coming by my tent, and I was just like, I was puckering.
Yeah, I'll bet. Dude, I had a I think it was either a porcupine or a skunk come by past Jeromestown last night, and they make so much noise on those dead calm nights. It sounds like it's something big. We don't really have bears where I am, even black bears or anything, but still, your mind starts to race a little bit, and you're like,
I always sleep with earplugs because when I'm on trail, not on the boat. On the boat, I don't wear earplugs.
Right.
On trail, I always wear earplugs because I didn't want to be woken up by an animal, because a mouse sounds like a bear and a bear sounds like Godzilla. Like,
yeah, dude, totally.
If you woke up every animal that made a noise, you would never sleep. So I would just earplugs out. Can't hear it. It's not there.
Out of sight, out of mind. No, hey, you know what? Those are the tricks of the trade, because especially with that sort of physical labor that you're doing every single day, if you're not getting that good sleep that you need, man, that makes hiking those long distance trails hard, really hard.
Yeah, and I've never slept better in my life than on the cold ground on a cold night. When you've been hiking all day and it doesn't matter. You just pass out and you are asleep for 12 hours straight. Or you wake up in the middle of the night, pee in a water bottle, throw it in the foot of the sleeping bag. Now your toes aren't numb anymore.
Yeah, right. Well, and let me ask you, I guess, real quick, like on the AT, I very quickly shifted from, I think it was the third night that I slept in a shelter. That was the last time. I was like, I'm sleeping in a tent, and I got so much better sleep in my own little tent area. I felt it was just more comfortable, private, all that sort of stuff. Were you a shelter guy, or did you have your own little tent?
I was a tent guy at the beginning, and then switched to a shelter guy after, because I was going southbound. So once we went through the northbound bubble, pretty much every shelter was just me and my friends. It was
nice.
Going southbound, it was like you might see 3 or 4 people in a day. Like, it wasn't like going northbound with the crazy masses of people. So once we got through the bubble, it was just like we could set up our tents in the shelters, which is frowned upon because that takes up
other
the room
people
of someone
show
else.
up. Yeah.
But when we were doing it, it was like, I haven't seen anyone in a few days. Like, it's just us. Like, we might as well set up our tents in here and have a shelter party. Like, there was...
Yeah, dude.
I don't like sleeping in shelters with other people, especially people I didn't know, because you never know when the snorer's gonna roll up to. And snoring is... And I snore sometimes. So if there's other people, I also don't like sleeping in the shelter knowing that if I'm on my back, I'm gonna snore. So when it's just me and a couple of my buddies in the shelter, it's fine. If there's a bunch of random people in a shelter, I usually set up my tent. And if I'm tenting, I do not tent near shelters. If I'm tenting, it's...
No, you gotta go,
It's stealth. I always just stealth camp, or, tenting near shelters is a recipe for having a mouse chew a hole through your tent.
100%. Yeah.
because you can't hang up your bag. You can't, you can hang it up in a tree, but then the squirrels just run. It's
Right.
in a shelter. There's all the mouse hangs in the tent. If you're tenting near a shelter, you're the easiest thing for those mice to get to.
Yeah, you're target number one right there for sure,
Yeah.
dude. Well, what sort of order are you gonna? Do you have a set order in mind? Are you gonna do AT, CDT, PCT, or it doesn't matter?
If I did it, I think I would end with a northbound AT hike. I just think that would just
Whoa.
like right in the middle of the bubble, like. And I like being out there, and I like being alone, and I like the solidarity of it. But I think to end a double triple crown, just like party my way from Georgia to Maine. Just
Yeah, right.
right in the middle of
Hey.
the bubble, hit trail days, do all that. Just like end it on a high note.
Yeah, well, that would be quite an accomplishment, sir. Then I guess the only thing after that would be to like yo-yo each one. Maybe try and do that all in one calendar year.
Yeah,
Impossible,
maybe a
yes, but
calendar year triple crown.
has that ever been done?
Yeah. There's a few
has,
people
wow.
have done the calendar triples. It's you kind of just have to do like AT in the winter, really fast PCT northbound, and then a really fast CDT Sobo.
So, okay,
There's a guy named Quadzilla. He's on Instagram. He did the calendar year triple 2 years ago or 1 year ago.
Wow.
And then this year, he's trying to show everyone that, like, you don't need a bunch of money and you can do it cheap. So he bought the cheapest Walmart, Amazon gear he could. And he's got $1,000 budget. And he's doing the AT again northbound with $1,000. And, like, I think his whole setup was like $150-$200 for all of his gear. So he's just doing it super cheap just to show people. Because, it's kind of the same with the boating and the hiking of, you got to have the nicest, fanciest thing because the guy on the boat next to you does, or in the marina,
Total. It is absolutely. You don't need that at all. You need a solid thing that'll work, but you don't need the best tip top stuff for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's testing out some super cheap gear and just going for it, and I think that's awesome. He doesn't have to do it cheap, but he's just showing that he can't, like, it's possible for people to do that, which is just like boat. It's possible if you have the dream to get out there, just go for it. I mean,
just go for it, man.
Otherwise, you're just always going to dream about it, and it's never going to happen.
On the old trail, you just got to lace up those boots and go. On the ocean, you just got to untie, set the mainsail, and boom, head for that horizon, dude.
Pull out your maps, pull on some ropes.
Oh wait, maps on the trail.
No, on the boat. Pull out your maps and haul in your jib ropes, and you're good to go.
Oh man, well, I'll tell you what, dude. If you end up getting back to a point where you're slotting in and scheduling to do the PCT, please let me know because I would love to join you for that one because that's definitely on my bucket list as well.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
That'd be a lot of fun. I don't know how long my old knees will be able to handle it, but I do know if you can make it past like a few weeks, your legs are strong enough that they take the weight off your knees. So
you remember seeing the guys out there when you were out there. You remember seeing those 70-year-olds, and
totally.
You pass them in the beginning of the trail, and then right around midway through the trail, they pass you, and you never see them again, and it doesn't make any. They got that old man power. They just they walk slow, but they walk all day.
Dude, it's so funny you said it because I met one of the first people I met. His name was Aloha Granddad. He was from Hawaii, and we left on the same day. He finished like 5 days before I did for the whole trail, and he was maybe 67 years old. So, wise words, sir. It's true. Yeah. It's very true. And hey, if we get a chance to get you out on Mighty Sparrow, I'd love to do a trip out to Bermuda or an offshore trip to Maine or something like that. I think would be a lot of fun.
I would love that. If you ever need crew, I got you.
Done, dude. Done. I'll show you how to. I'll teach you how to use a sextant and locate our position. We'll have a compass, a barometer, and the sextant, and our chart, and we'll find a little island in the middle of the Atlantic. It'll be great.
Perfect.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, Eitan, for slicing away some time. If you got anything you want to shout out, go for it. But I'm going to put all the links for your YouTube, the Instagram, and stuff, all in the notes for the show and everything. Because, dude, you're putting in a lot of effort, and I know there's a lot of people out there that want to support and help creators like you that are willing to share their adventures. And it's nice to get rewarded for putting in that effort by donations here and there, some beer money or whatever. So if you got any links to anything, you let me know.
The only shout I want to make is to you, Jerome from Sailing into Oblivion, man. You've helped me so much along the way, dude. Last year when I had a really bad sail, when I got caught in that storm, and I called you afterwards, and I think we were on the phone for a few hours. And dude, I was ready to quit sailing then, and just talking to you, and dude, you've helped me every step along the way, and I appreciate you for that. And hopefully one day we get to go sailing together. So
hell yeah,
thank you,
dude.
brother.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much, dude. I really appreciate it. That's awesome, dude. Well, fantastic, dude. And when you do settle down, if you end up finding a place that you're going to be for a little while, let me know, because I want to send you one of the old Sailing into Oblivion shirts. I want to see it get all dirtied up from all the work you're doing.
Perfect, man. I'll get some fish blood and guts on it, get it all salty. Yeah, I got you.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to hit the stop record, and then I think we just have to wait for a hot second.
Cool.